Welcome back Coinology. The story of a simple 1-cent coin can sometimes sound unbelievable, because a coin that many people ignore in their pockets can secretly carry history, mystery, and sometimes incredible value. Imagine holding a small copper-colored coin in your hand, something so ordinary that millions of people see it every day and never think twice about it. Yet collectors around the world spend years searching through jars of coins hoping to find a rare example that could be worth hundreds, thousands, or even extraordinary amounts of money. One such coin that has attracted curiosity among collectors is the 1998 1-cent coin from the United States, a coin that belongs to the famous Lincoln cents series that has been minted since 1909 and continues to be one of the longest-running coin designs in American history. The 1998 1-cent coin might look ordinary at first glance, but when you start examining it closely, the details begin to reveal a fascinating story. The coin carries the familiar portrait of President Abraham Lincoln, the 16th President of the United States, whose image has appeared on the penny for more than a century. This portrait was created by sculptor and designer Victor David Brenner, whose initials VDB can still be seen on the coin near Lincoln's shoulder. When someone first picks up a 1998 penny, the first thing they usually notice is the warm copper color. However, the coin is not actually solid copper. Modern pennies like the 1998 issue are made mostly of zinc with a thin copper coating. In fact, the composition is approximately 97.5% zinc and 2.5% copper plating, a change that began in 1982 when rising copper prices forced the United States Mint to alter the metal mixture used in pennies. The weight of the coin is also surprisingly precise. Every genuine 1998 penny weighs about 2.5 grams and measures roughly 19.05 millimeters in diameter with a thickness of about 1.52 millimeters. The edge of the coin is plain and smooth, without the ridges that appear on coins such as quarters or dimes. If you slowly rotate the coin in the light, the design becomes more visible. On the front side, known as the obverse, Abraham Lincoln's portrait faces to the right. Above his head, the motto, "In God We Trust," arches across the top of the coin. To the left of the portrait appears the word Liberty, and on the right side you can see the date 1998 along with a mint mark if the coin was produced at a specific mint facility. Mint marks play a major role in determining the rarity of a coin. In 1998, pennies were produced at several different mints in the United States. Coins struck in Denver carry a small letter D below the date, while proof coins made in San Francisco display an S mint mark. Coins produced in Philadelphia typically have no mint mark at all. Now turn the coin over and look at the reverse side. This side displays the Lincoln Memorial Building in Washington, D.C., an iconic structure that served as the reverse design of the Lincoln cent from 1959 until 2008. At the top of the reverse appears the inscription United States of America, and above the memorial is the motto E Pluribus Unum. Beneath the memorial is the denomination written clearly as 1 cent. The reverse design was created by designer Frank Gasparo, whose initials FG appear near the base of the memorial. Inside the tiny depiction of the building, if you look closely with magnification, you can even see the statue of Abraham Lincoln sitting inside the memorial. The Lincoln Memorial reverse design remained on pennies for nearly 50 years, making it one of the most recognizable coin designs in the world. Millions of people carried these coins in their pockets every day, rarely realizing that they were holding a small piece of American history. The year 1998 was not especially unusual in terms of production numbers. In fact, billions of pennies were minted that year, making them extremely common in circulation. For example, more than 5 billion pennies were produced at the Philadelphia Mint alone. Because such large numbers were produced, most 1998 pennies found in everyday circulation are only worth their face value of 1 cent. However, coin collecting is a world where small differences can create enormous changes in value. Even a tiny variation in design, minting error, or condition can transform an ordinary coin into a rare collectible. Collectors often talk about the condition of a coin using grading systems. A penny that has circulated for many years will show scratches, fading, and wear. But a coin that has been preserved carefully and still displays its original red luster may be classified as mint state. High-grade examples can sell for several dollars or even more depending on their quality, but the real excitement among collectors comes from rare varieties and mint errors. In the case of the 1998 penny, one of the most famous varieties is known as the white AM variety. This variety involves a subtle spacing difference in the word America on the reverse of the coin. Normally the letters A and M in America are very close together, nearly touching. But on the rare white AM variety, the letters are spaced farther apart. This difference may sound minor, But to collectors, it represents an important minting variation that can increase the coin's value significantly. When people discover such a variety in circulation, it can be an exciting moment. Many collectors describe the feeling as similar to finding treasure hidden in plain sight. A coin that once passed through hundreds of hands unnoticed suddenly becomes an object of fascination. The history behind the Lincoln cent itself adds another layer of meaning. The coin was originally introduced in 1909 to commemorate the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. It was the first regular United States coin to feature the portrait of a real historical person rather than a symbolic figure. Before 1909, American coins typically displayed allegorical images representing liberty or freedom. The decision to place Lincoln's portrait on the penny marked a major change in American coin design and helped establish a tradition that continues today. Over the decades, the penny has experienced many changes in metal composition and design. During World War II, for example, copper was needed for the war effort, so pennies were temporarily made from zinc-coated steel in 1943. Those steel pennies remain famous among collectors today. Later, in 1982, the rising cost of copper forced another change in composition, leading to the modern copper-plated zinc structure used in coins like the 1998 penny. Even though the penny's monetary value is small, its cultural significance is enormous. For many Americans, it represents childhood memories, piggy banks, and the simple act of saving money one coin at a time. Collectors often spend years studying pennies, searching through coin rolls and jars hoping to discover rare varieties. The thrill of the hunt keeps the hobby alive, because no one ever knows when a valuable coin might appear. Some people have claimed that certain rare pennies could be worth millions of dollars under extraordinary circumstances, especially if they involve unique mint errors, experimental metals, or extremely rare varieties. Stories like these capture the imagination of collectors and encourage people to look more closely at the coins they already have. The idea that a small coin could someday be worth millions may sound unbelievable, yet the history of coin collecting contains many examples of coins that sold for astonishing prices due to rarity and demand. That possibility is what makes coin collecting such an exciting hobby. A coin that seems ordinary today could become valuable tomorrow if collectors discover a unique feature or historical significance. So the next time someone sees a 1998 penny lying on the ground or hidden in a jar of loose change, it might be worth taking a closer look. Under the right circumstances, that tiny coin could hold a story far bigger than its 1 cent face value, and for collectors, historians, and treasure hunters alike, that possibility is what keeps the search going year after year, coin after coin, always wondering whether the next penny they examine might turn out to be something truly extraordinary. When people begin to explore the fascinating world of coin collecting, they quickly realize that every small detail on a coin can tell a story. A single line, a tiny letter, a small difference in spacing, or even the shine of the metal can change how collectors see that coin. This is especially true for the 1998 1-cent coin, which at first appears extremely common but slowly reveals interesting details when examined closely. Many collectors spend hours studying pennies from this era, not because they expect every coin to be valuable, but because sometimes an ordinary coin hides an extraordinary secret. To understand why collectors search for the 1998 penny, it helps to first understand the history of the penny itself. The United States 1-cent coin has existed since the late 18th century, and over time it has gone through many changes in design and metal composition. But one of the most important moments came in 1909 when the United States Mint introduced the Lincoln cent. For the first time in American coinage, a real historical figure appeared on a circulating coin. The face of President Abraham Lincoln was placed on the penny to celebrate the 100th anniversary of his birth. That decision changed American coin design forever. The Lincoln cent became extremely popular with the public. People admired the portrait and the historical meaning behind it. The design remained largely the same for decades, with Lincoln's profile on the front and different designs appearing on the reverse side throughout history. From 1959 until 2008, the reverse side featured the Lincoln Memorial Building in Washington, D.C. This design appeared on the 1998 penny as well, making it part of a long tradition that lasted nearly half a century. When you hold a 1998 penny and look carefully at the obverse side, you see the familiar portrait of Abraham Lincoln facing to the right. Above his head, the phrase, "In God We Trust," stretches across the top edge of the coin. This motto has appeared on United States coins for many years and reflects a tradition that began in the 19th century. To the left of Lincoln's portrait is the word liberty, representing one of the most important ideals in American history. On the right side you see the year 1998, which tells you when the coin was minted. Below the date you might also see a small letter known as a mint mark. Mint marks indicate the location where the coin was produced. If the coin has a small letter D under the date, it means it was struck at the Denver Mint. If there is no mint mark, the coin was produced at the Philadelphia Mint. Some special collector coins produced in San Francisco carry the letter S. These small letters may seem insignificant, but to collectors they are extremely important. Certain mint locations sometimes produce coins with slight variations or lower mintages, making them more desirable among collectors. Now turn the coin over to the reverse side and you will see the famous Lincoln Memorial design. This building is one of the most recognizable monuments in the United States. It honors Abraham Lincoln and stands in Washington, D.C. with a large statue of Lincoln seated inside. The memorial itself was completed in 1922 and later became the inspiration for the reverse design of the penny. On the 1998 penny, the Lincoln Memorial appears in the center of the reverse. Above the memorial is the Latin motto E pluribus unum, which translates to out of many, one. This phrase represents the idea that many states and people together form one nation. Above that inscription you will see the words United States of America, while beneath the memorial you find the denomination written as 1 cent. If you look extremely closely at the design, you can actually see tiny columns on the memorial building. The detail is so precise that under magnification the small statue of Lincoln inside the memorial can also be seen. Many collectors consider this one of the most impressive miniature designs ever placed on a circulating coin. Another interesting feature of the 1998 penny is its metal composition. Although the coin appears to be copper, it is actually made mostly of zinc. The coin's core consists of zinc while the outer surface is coated with a thin layer of copper. This composition was introduced in 1982 because the price of copper had risen so much that making pennies from solid copper would have become too expensive. Because of this change, the 1998 penny weighs approximately 2.5 grams. The diameter of the coin is about 19 millimeters, and the edge is completely smooth without ridges. These precise measurements help collectors verify whether a coin is genuine or if it may be an unusual mint error. Mint errors are one of the main reasons collectors search through large numbers of coins. During the minting process, coins are struck by powerful presses that stamp designs onto blank metal discs known as planchets. Occasionally something unusual happens during this process. The blank might be misaligned, the design might be struck twice, or part of the design might be missing. These types of mistakes can create rare and valuable coins. For example, collectors sometimes discover off-center strikes, double dies, or coins struck on the wrong type of metal. Each error creates a unique piece that collectors find fascinating. In the case of the 1998 penny, one of the most talked about varieties is known as the wide AM variety. This refers to the spacing between the letters A and M and the word America on the reverse of the coin. On most pennies the A and M are very close together, but on the wide AM variety there is a noticeable gap between them. This small difference occurred because a proof coin design was accidentally used on some circulation coins. Proof coins are specially made for collectors and normally have slightly different design details. When this design was used on some regular coins, it created the rare wide AM variety that collectors now search for. Finding one of these coins in circulation can be very exciting. Many people search through rolls of pennies obtained from banks, carefully checking each coin under magnification. Sometimes collectors spend years searching before finding a single example. The excitement of discovering a rare coin often spreads quickly through the collecting community. Online forums, coin shows, and collector groups discuss new discoveries and share photographs of unusual coins. When a rare variety is confirmed, its value can increase rapidly because collectors compete to own it. Condition also plays a major role in determining a coin's value. A coin that has circulated for many years may show scratches, dull color, and worn details. These coins are generally worth only face value unless they have a rare variety or error. However, coins that remain in excellent condition can be much more valuable. Collectors often describe these coins as mint state, meaning they still retain their original luster and sharp design details. A high-grade 1998 penny with bright red color and no wear can attract much higher prices from collectors. Some collectors even specialize in finding the best possible examples of each coin year. They examine coins under powerful lights and magnification to evaluate tiny details such as surface marks, color, and strike quality. Professional grading services sometimes certify these coins and place them in protective holders, assigning a grade that helps determine their value. the world of coin collecting is filled with stories of surprising discoveries. People have found valuable coins in old jars, piggy banks, and even in pocket change. A coin that was once ignored can suddenly become the highlight of a collector's collection. This is why many collectors encourage others to check their coins carefully. A simple penny might not look like much at first glance, but under the right circumstances it could become something special. Whether it is a rare variety, a mint error, or simply a coin preserved in exceptional condition, every coin has the potential to tell a story, and the 1998 penny continues to be part of that story. Millions of them were produced, yet collectors still search through them hoping to find that one unusual example that stands out from the rest. The thrill of that search keeps the hobby alive and inspires new collectors every year. For some people, coin collecting begins as a simple curiosity. They notice an unusual coin and start researching its background. Soon they learn about mint marks, metal compositions, and historical designs. Before long they find themselves studying coins from different years and building a collection piece by piece. The deeper people go into the world of coin collecting, the more they begin to understand that every coin is like a tiny historical document made of metal. The 1998 1-cent coin is a perfect example of this idea. At first glance it seems ordinary, but when collectors study it carefully, they begin to see how much history, craftsmanship, and curiosity can exist inside a coin that most people ignore every day. A penny may pass through thousands of hands during its lifetime, traveling from city to city, from pocket to pocket, from stores to banks, and sometimes even across countries. Yet during that journey it quietly carries the story of the year it was minted. The year 1998 was a time when billions of pennies were being produced in the United States. Every day massive coin presses inside the United States mint facilities struck thousands of coins per minute. These machines operated with incredible speed and precision. Blank metal discs known as planchets were fed into the machines, and powerful dies stamped the coin design onto each piece with tremendous force. In a fraction of a second the blank metal disc became a fully formed coin carrying the portrait of Abraham Lincoln and the design of the Lincoln Memorial. Although the process was designed to produce perfect coins, the reality is that no manufacturing system is completely flawless. Even with the strict quality control at the United States Mint, small variations occasionally occurred. These variations are what make coin collecting so exciting. When collectors search through coins from 1998, they are not just looking for any penny. They are hoping to find the one coin that slipped through the minting process with a special feature. One of the most fascinating things about the 1998 penny is the enormous number of coins produced during that year. The Philadelphia Mint alone produced billions of pennies, while the Denver Mint added billions more. This means that the vast majority of 1998 pennies are extremely common. If someone looks through a handful of pocket change, there is a good chance they might find one of these coins. However, common coins can still become valuable under certain conditions. One of the most important factors is the condition of the coin. In the coin collecting world, condition is often referred to as the grade of the coin. Grading systems help collectors describe how well preserved a coin is after years of circulation. Coins that have been used heavily often show scratches, worn details, and faded surfaces. These coins might look dull and dark because the copper plating has been exposed to air, moisture, and handling. Such coins are generally considered circulated and are usually worth only their face value, but sometimes a coin escapes heavy circulation. It might have been saved in a jar shortly after it was minted, stored in a collection, or forgotten inside a drawer for many years. When collectors find a 1998 penny that still has its original bright red shine and sharp details, they immediately recognize that it is something special. These coins are called uncirculated or mint state coins. Mint state coins are graded on a scale that ranges from lower mint state numbers to extremely high grades reserved for nearly perfect coins. A high-grade example of a 1998 penny can be surprisingly attractive. Under bright light the copper surface shines with a red glow, and the fine lines of Lincoln's portrait appear crisp and detailed. The color of a penny is another detail collectors pay attention to. Freshly minted pennies have a bright red appearance because the copper surface is new and unoxidized. Over time the copper reacts with the environment and gradually turns brown. Because of this change, collectors often classify pennies into three color categories: red, red-brown, and brown. A 1998 penny that still displays full red color decades after it was minted can be far more desirable than one that has turned brown. The bright color suggests the coin was carefully preserved, which adds to its appeal among collectors. Another reason collectors study the 1998 penny is the possibility of minting errors. Mint errors occur when something unexpected happens during the striking process. Even a tiny misalignment between the dies and the blank coin can produce unusual results. For example, an off-center strike occurs when the blank planchet is not perfectly positioned between the dies. When the dies strike the coin, part of the design may be missing, leaving a blank crescent-shaped area on one side. Coins with large off-center strikes can look dramatic and unusual, which often makes them attractive to collectors. Another type of error is a double strike. This happens when a coin is struck more than once by the dies, causing parts of the design to appear duplicated or shifted. These coins can display overlapping images of Lincoln's portrait or repeated lettering, creating a fascinating visual effect. Collectors also search for coins with die cracks, die chips, or other small imperfections caused by wear on the minting dies. Over time, the dies that strike coins begin to develop tiny fractures or chips due to the immense pressure involved in the minting process. When this happens, the coin struck by those dies can display raised lines or bumps in unusual places. The famous white AM variety from 1998 is another feature that collectors look for carefully. To most people, the word America on the reverse of a penny looks perfectly normal. But experienced collectors know that the spacing between the letters A and M can reveal whether a coin is a special variety. On standard pennies, the A and M in America are positioned very close together. In the wide AM variety, however, there is a noticeable gap between the two letters. This small detail resulted from a design intended for proof coins being used on some regular circulation coins. The difference might seem tiny, but collectors view it as a rare and interesting variety. Discovering a wide AM penny in everyday circulation is like finding a small treasure hidden among ordinary coins. Many collectors search through thousands of pennies hoping to find this variety. Some people obtain rolls of coins from banks and examine each penny one by one with a magnifying glass. This process is sometimes called coin roll hunting. Enthusiasts sit at tables covered with coins, slowly checking each one for special features. Although most coins turn out to be ordinary, the possibility of discovering a rare piece keeps collectors motivated. The excitement of coin collecting often comes from these moments of discovery. A collector might spend hours searching through coins with no success, and then suddenly notice a small detail that looks different from the rest. That moment can feel like uncovering hidden history. The idea that a tiny penny could one day be worth a significant amount of money is another reason people become fascinated with coins. Throughout history, there have been many examples of coins that were once common but later became extremely valuable because only a few survived in excellent condition. Stories about rare coins often spread quickly, especially when collectors hear about extraordinary sale prices. Occasionally, a coin with a unique error or exceptional preservation can sell for thousands or even hundreds of thousands of dollars at auction. These stories inspire new collectors to begin searching through their own coins. Some people even dream about the possibility of discovering a coin worth millions. While such cases are extremely rare, the history of coin collecting shows that remarkable discoveries can happen. Sometimes a coin sits unnoticed for decades before someone realizes its true significance. For many collectors, the true value of a coin is not only measured in money. It is also measured in the history and craftsmanship it represents. A 1998 penny connects collectors to the year it was minted, the people who designed it, the machines that produced it, and the countless individuals who carried it in their pockets. Each tiny scratch or mark on the coin tells part of its journey. Perhaps it was used to buy a newspaper, dropped into a vending machine, or saved in a child's piggy bank. Over time, the coin traveled through the economy, quietly fulfilling its role as a piece of everyday currency. Yet even while serving such a simple purpose, the coin remained part of a much larger story. It represented the legacy of Abraham Lincoln, one of the most important figures in American history. His portrait on the penny reminds people of the values he stood for, including unity, freedom, and perseverance. When collectors continue their search through pennies from different years, the excitement often grows stronger with every coin they examine. The 1998 1-cent coin remains one of those coins that many people overlook, yet for collectors it represents another opportunity to discover something unique. The fascinating thing about coins is that their true story is not always visible at first glance. Sometimes a coin must be examined carefully under bright light, magnification, and patient observation before its secrets begin to appear. Imagine someone sitting at a table covered with hundreds or even thousands of pennies. Each coin looks nearly identical, yet the collector slowly picks them up one by one, turning them over, studying the letters, the numbers, and the spacing between the designs. This careful process is not just about searching for money. It is about curiosity, history, and the thrill of discovery. Every coin could potentially carry a small variation that makes it different from the rest. The 1998 penny is part of the long-running Lincoln cent series, which has been produced for more than a century. Over that time, billions upon billions of pennies have entered circulation. Yet collectors understand that large production numbers do not mean every coin is exactly the same. In fact, small changes in minting dies, mechanical adjustments, and even microscopic wear on minting equipment can create subtle differences between coins. When the United States Mint produces coins, the process involves several important steps. First, large sheets of metal are prepared to create blank discs called planchets. These planchets are carefully cut to the correct diameter and weight so that every coin meets official standards. Once the planchets are ready, they are cleaned and polished before moving to the coin presses. Inside the coin press, the planchet is placed between two engraved metal dies. These dies contain the designs that will appear on the coin. When the press activates, enormous pressure forces the dies together, stamping the design onto the metal surface. This process happens extremely quickly, often producing dozens of coins every second. Because the presses operate at such high speeds, small variations can occasionally occur. Sometimes the dies begin to wear out after striking thousands of coins. When this happens, the design details on the coins may appear slightly softer or less sharp. Other times the dies may develop tiny cracks or chips due to the intense pressure involved in minting. These imperfections can leave marks on the coins they produce. For collectors, such marks can become extremely interesting. A small raised line across the coin might indicate a die crack. A tiny bump near a letter might show where a piece of the die chipped away. These features transform an ordinary penny into something collectors want to study. Another fascinating possibility involves coins that were struck slightly off-center. During normal minting, the blank planchet must sit perfectly aligned between the dies. If the planchet shifts even slightly before the dies strike, the design may appear partially missing. The result is an off-center coin that looks very unusual compared to a normal penny. Collectors often enjoy these types of coins because they show how the minting process works. Instead of being perfectly symmetrical, the coin displays the moment when the machinery produced something unexpected. Each error coin is unique, and some of them can become highly valuable depending on the size and clarity of the error. The 1998 penny also attracts attention because of the well-known white AM variety. Although the difference is small, collectors carefully inspect the word America on the reverse side of the coin. On standard coins, the letters A and M appear almost touching. On the white AM variety, however, a clear space separates those two letters. This difference occurred because a reverse die intended for proof coins was mistakenly used to strike some circulation coins. Proof coins are specially made for collectors and usually have slightly different design characteristics. When that proof die was used on regular coins, it created the white AM variety that collectors now search for. Finding one of these coins in circulation can feel like discovering hidden treasure. Many collectors use magnifying glasses or digital microscopes to examine the letters on the coin. They slowly compare each penny they find with images of the white AM variety, hoping to see that distinctive spacing. Sometimes collectors spend months or even years searching before finding one. But that is part of the excitement of the hobby. The search itself becomes an adventure, and every coin examined brings the possibility of discovery. The condition of the coin remains another major factor in determining its desirability. A heavily worn penny might still carry historical interest, but collectors often prefer coins that retain sharp design details. A well-preserved 1998 penny can display crisp lettering, clear lines in Lincoln's portrait, and strong detail in the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse. When a coin remains in exceptional condition, its surface often shines with a bright copper color known as mint luster. This luster reflects light in a distinctive pattern that moves across the coin when it is tilted. Collectors sometimes refer to this effect as a cartwheel shine because the light appears to rotate across the coin's surface. Maintaining this original luster is difficult because even light circulation can gradually wear it away. That is why coins that remain uncirculated for decades can become especially attractive to collectors. Another interesting aspect of the 1998 penny is how it fits into the broader story of American coinage. The Lincoln cent design has undergone several changes throughout history. While the portrait of Lincoln has remained on the front of the coin since 1909, the reverse design has changed over time. Before the Lincoln Memorial design appeared in 1959, the reverse side of the penny featured two wheat stalks surrounding the words 1 cent. These coins are often called wheat pennies and remain extremely popular among collectors. When the Lincoln Memorial replaced the wheat design, it marked the beginning of a new era in penny design. The Lincoln Memorial design remained on the penny until 2008, making coins like the 1998 penny part of the final decade of that long-lasting design period. Because of this, some collectors enjoy assembling complete sets of Lincoln Memorial pennies from every year of production. Building such a collection requires patience and dedication. Collectors search through coins from each year, trying to find examples in the best possible condition. Some even attempt to collect coins from every mint location and every known variety. The process can take years, but many collectors find it incredibly rewarding. Each coin added to the collection represents another piece of history preserved for future generations. The 1998 penny may seem small and simple, but it reflects the craftsmanship of the United States Mint, the legacy of Abraham Lincoln, and the everyday economic life of millions of people. Coins like this travel through countless hands, silently witnessing transactions, purchases, and moments of daily life. For some people, discovering the hidden details of a coin becomes the beginning of a lifelong hobby. They start by checking a few pennies out of curiosity and eventually find themselves studying mint marks, learning about die varieties, and attending coin shows where collectors share their discoveries. What makes this hobby so fascinating is the possibility that something valuable could still be hiding among ordinary coins. Even decades after a coin was minted, new varieties or errors can sometimes be discovered when collectors examine coins closely. This sense of mystery keeps the world of coin collecting alive. Every jar of old coins becomes a potential treasure chest waiting to be explored. Every handful of pennies becomes an opportunity to uncover a story that has been hiding in plain sight for years, and somewhere among the billions of coins produced in 1998, there may still be rare examples waiting quietly in circulation, ready to surprise the next collector who takes the time to look carefully at the tiny details engraved on a simple 1-cent coin. As collectors continue exploring the world of pennies, the deeper they go, the more fascinating the story becomes. The 1998 1-cent coin may appear simple, but behind that tiny copper-colored surface lies an entire system of history, economics, and craftsmanship. Many people drop pennies into jars without thinking about them again, yet collectors know that each coin represents a moment in time when it was created, stamped, and released into circulation. Think about the journey of a single 1998 penny. The moment it left the mint, it began traveling through the economy. It may have been used in grocery stores, vending machines, gas stations, or saved inside piggy banks. Over the years, it could pass through thousands of hands. Some coins travel across entire states or even across countries through trade and tourism. Yet despite all of that movement, the coin still carries the exact design that was struck into it the moment it was created. Collectors often say that coins are like tiny time capsules. The designs remain the same even as decades pass. When someone looks at a 1998 penny today, they are seeing the same portrait, the same lettering, and the same metal surface that existed the day it was minted more than 2 decades ago. One reason the 1998 penny continues to attract attention is the enormous number of coins that were produced during that year. The United States Mint operates several facilities responsible for producing coins for circulation. Each facility uses powerful machinery capable of producing thousands of coins every minute. During busy production years, the mint can produce billions of pennies to ensure that enough coins are available for everyday transactions. Because so many coins were made, most 1998 pennies remain common today. However, the interesting part of coin collecting is that even within billions of coins, small differences can exist. Sometimes those differences appear because of changes in minting dies, slight mechanical adjustments, or simple human error during production. For example, minting dies do not last forever. Each die strikes thousands of coins under enormous pressure. Over time, the surface of the die begins to wear down. Tiny cracks may develop, or small fragments of the die might chip away. When that happens, the coins struck by that die begin to show subtle marks that collectors can identify. These marks might appear as raised lines on the surface of the coin. They might appear as unusual bumps near letters or numbers. Although they may look like small imperfections, collectors view them as clues that reveal the life of the minting equipment that produced the coin. The process of identifying these small details is part science and part art. Experienced collectors often use magnifying glasses, jeweler's loupes, or digital microscopes to examine their coins. Under magnification, the tiny world of coin design becomes much more visible. The lines of Lincoln's hair, the folds of his coat, and the tiny columns of the Lincoln Memorial suddenly appear in remarkable detail. When people first see a penny under magnification, they are often surprised by how complex the design really is. What looks simple to the naked eye becomes an intricate landscape of metal textures and engraved shapes. Every letter and every line was carefully carved into the original dies by skilled engravers who understood how to translate art into metal. The reverse design of the 1998 penny shows the Lincoln Memorial Building in Washington, D.C. This building is one of the most recognizable monuments in the United States. It was chosen for the penny's reverse design in 1959 to celebrate the 150th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. One of the most interesting details of this design is that if you look closely enough, you can actually see the tiny statue of Abraham Lincoln sitting inside the memorial. This means that on the penny, Abraham Lincoln appears on both sides of the coin. His portrait appears on the front, and his statue appears inside the memorial on the back. This tiny detail fascinates many collectors because it demonstrates how much attention was given to the design even though the coin is so small. The engravers managed to include a detailed building and a recognizable statue on a coin that measures less than 2 centimeters across. The metal composition of the 1998 penny also plays an important role in its appearance. Although it looks like copper, the coin is mostly made from zinc. The outer layer is copper plating, which gives the coin its familiar reddish color. This copper layer is extremely thin but durable enough to protect the zinc core over time. However, the copper surface reacts with the air and environment. This chemical reaction gradually darkens the coin, turning the bright red color into a deeper brown tone. That is why many older pennies appear darker than newly minted ones. Collectors pay close attention to these color changes. A penny that still displays its original bright red color decades after it was minted is considered especially desirable. These coins are often labeled as red by grading services, while coins that have partially changed color are called red-brown. Coins that have completely darkened are simply described as brown. The difference between these color categories can greatly affect the coin's desirability. Two coins from the same year may look completely different depending on how they were stored. One coin might appear dull and dark after years in circulation, while another might shine brightly because it was carefully preserved. The preservation of coins has always been an important part of coin collecting. Many collectors store their coins in protective holders or albums to prevent damage from air, moisture, and fingerprints. Even touching a coin with bare hands can leave oils that eventually affect the surface. Because of this, serious collectors often handle their coins only by the edges. This simple habit helps protect the surfaces and maintain the coin's original appearance. The fascination with pennies sometimes leads collectors to search through enormous quantities of coins. Some collectors visit banks and request rolls of pennies so they can examine them one by one. Others search through old coin jars that families have saved for years. Every handful of coins becomes an opportunity for discovery. Most coins turn out to be common, but occasionally something unusual appears. It might be a rare variety, an interesting error, or simply a coin preserved in exceptional condition. These discoveries often become memorable moments for collectors. Finding a rare coin in circulation can feel like uncovering hidden treasure. The excitement of that moment is one of the reasons people continue searching through coins year after year. Another reason collectors remain fascinated by pennies is the connection to history. The portrait of Abraham Lincoln reminds people of one of the most important figures in American history. Lincoln led the United States through the Civil War and worked to preserve the unity of the nation. By placing Lincoln's portrait on the penny, the designers of the coin created a small everyday tribute to his legacy. Every time someone uses a penny, they are carrying a piece of that historical memory. Coins also reflect the economic conditions of their time. Changes in metal composition, production levels, and design often occur because of economic decisions. For example, the shift from solid copper pennies to copper-plated zinc pennies happened because the price of copper increased dramatically. This decision allowed the mint to continue producing pennies at a reasonable cost. Even though the change was largely economic, it became an important part of the coin's history. As collectors continue studying coins like the 1998 penny, they often develop a deeper appreciation for the role coins play in everyday life. Coins may seem small and insignificant, but they represent the flow of commerce, the memory of historical figures, and the craftsmanship of the minting process. The story of the 1998 penny is still unfolding because millions of these coins remain in circulation today. Every time someone checks their pocket change or sorts through old coins, there is a chance that another interesting example will appear somewhere in a jar of forgotten coins. A rare variety or beautifully preserved penny may still be waiting to be discovered. That possibility keeps collectors curious and excited, reminding them that even the smallest coin can carry a story far greater than its 1-cent value. As the journey into the story of the 1998 1-cent coin continues, it becomes even more fascinating to realize how a coin that most people ignore can hold layers of meaning and mystery. Every penny that exists today was once brand new, shining brightly the moment it left the mint. Over time, those coins travel through countless hands, markets, and cities, becoming part of everyday life. Yet while the coin moves through the world, the design pressed into its metal never changes. It remains a small permanent record of the moment it was created. Imagine the environment inside a mint facility in the late 1990s. Enormous machines filled large industrial halls. The sound of metal striking metal echoed across the building as thousands of coins were produced every minute. Conveyor belts carried shiny new coins into counting machines and storage containers before they were shipped to banks across the country. Workers carefully monitored the equipment to ensure the coins met strict standards of weight, size, and quality. During the production of the 1998 penny, the mint followed the same precise standards that had been used for many years. Each coin was struck on a blank metal disc known as a planchet. These planchets were produced from sheets of zinc that were coated with a thin layer of copper. The copper layer gave the penny its familiar reddish color, while the zinc core kept the production cost low. Each planchet was carefully cut to the correct size before entering the coin press. The coin press contained 2 engraved dies, one for the front of the coin and one for the back. When the press activated, the dies slammed together with enormous pressure, stamping the designs into the metal surface. The entire process took only a fraction of a second, but even though the process was extremely efficient, the sheer speed of coin production meant that occasional irregularities could appear. Sometimes a planchet might not be perfectly aligned. Other times a die might begin to wear out after striking thousands of coins. These situations could create unusual results that collectors later identify as mint errors. Mint errors are some of the most exciting discoveries in coin collecting. They reveal moments when the minting process behaved unexpectedly. For example, if a coin is struck while slightly tilted or off-center, the design may appear shifted to one side. This type of error produces a coin that looks dramatically different from a normal penny. Another possible error occurs when the coin receives more than one strike from the dies. This can create overlapping images or duplicated lettering. When collectors find such coins, they often examine them carefully to understand how the error occurred. These unusual coins become valuable not only because they are rare, but also because they tell the story of the minting process itself. Each error represents a moment when the machinery produced something unique. The 1998 penny also became widely discussed among collectors because of the famous white AM variety. This variety involves a subtle difference in the spacing of letters on the reverse side of the coin. In the word America, the letters A and M normally appear very close together. On the white AM variety, however, the letters are clearly separated by a visible gap. This difference occurred because a design intended for proof coins was mistakenly used on some coins meant for circulation. Proof coins are specially produced collector coins with extremely sharp details and polished surfaces. When the proof reverse die was used on regular coins, it created the unusual spacing between the letters. To someone unfamiliar with coin collecting, this difference might seem insignificant. But for collectors, such small details are extremely important. They represent variations in the production process and create distinct varieties that collectors actively search for. The process of searching for these varieties often involves patience and dedication. Many collectors examine hundreds or even thousands of pennies before finding a single interesting example. Some collectors visit banks and purchase rolls of pennies so they can search through them at home. This activity is often called coin roll hunting. Enthusiasts sit down with rolls of coins, open them carefully, and inspect each coin under bright lighting. Magnifying glasses are commonly used to check the spacing of letters, the shape of numbers, and the presence of any unusual marks. Most coins examined during this process turn out to be ordinary pennies. But every once in a while a collector discovers something different. That moment of discovery is what keeps collectors returning to the hobby again and again. The excitement of coin collecting is not always about finding the most expensive coin. Sometimes the thrill comes from simply identifying a new variety or learning more about the details of coin design. Every coin becomes an opportunity to explore history and craftsmanship. The design of the 1998 penny is itself a masterpiece of miniature art. On the front of the coin, the portrait of Abraham Lincoln appears calm and dignified. The sculptor who created this portrait managed to capture Lincoln's thoughtful expression using only a few millimeters of space. The inscriptions around the portrait also carry deep meaning. The phrase, "In God We Trust," appears above Lincoln's head, reflecting a tradition that has appeared on American coins for generations. The word liberty stands to the left of the portrait, representing one of the central ideals of the United States. On the right side appears the date 1998 along with the mint mark indicating where the coin was produced. These simple elements together create a design that has remained familiar to millions of people for decades. Turning the coin over reveals the Lincoln Memorial Building. This structure was chosen as the reverse design in 1959 and remained on the penny until 2008. The memorial represents a tribute to Abraham Lincoln's legacy and his role in shaping American history. The building itself is depicted with remarkable detail. Tiny columns stretch across the front of the structure, and the steps leading up to the memorial are visible even on such a small coin. With magnification, the tiny statue of Lincoln seated inside the memorial can also be seen. This means that Abraham Lincoln appears twice on the penny, once as a portrait on the front and once as a statue on the back. This small detail has fascinated collectors for decades. The longer collectors study coins like the 1998 penny, the more they realize that coin collecting is not just about money. It is about curiosity and discovery. Each coin carries the story of its design, the technology used to produce it, and the historical period in which it was created. Coins also reflect everyday life. A penny might have been used to pay for a small item in a store, dropped into a charity box, or saved by a child starting their first coin collection. These small moments become part of the coin's journey. Over time, the coin may travel far from the place where it was originally minted. It may cross states, change owners many times, and eventually end up in a collector's hands decades later. When collectors hold a coin like the 1998 penny, they are not just looking at a piece of metal. They are looking at an object that has traveled through history, quietly witnessing countless everyday transactions, and even today, millions of these coins continue to circulate, passing from hand to hand across the world. Somewhere among them may still be rare varieties, mint errors, or beautifully preserved examples waiting for someone to notice them. That sense of mystery and possibility is what keeps collectors searching through pennies year after year. Because every coin has a story, and sometimes the smallest coin can hold the biggest surprise. As the exploration of the 1998 1-cent coin continues, the story becomes even more interesting because every coin represents more than just its metal value. A penny may only be worth 1 cent in everyday spending, but to collectors and historians it represents a small piece of time that has been preserved in metal. The 1998 penny was created during a period when modern minting technology had already become extremely advanced, yet the coin still carried traditions that had existed for nearly a century. When someone holds a 1998 penny today, they are holding a coin that connects the past with the present. The portrait of Abraham Lincoln on the front side of the coin has remained on the penny since 1909. That means this design has survived through world wars, economic changes, technological revolutions, and generations of people who used the penny in everyday life. Even as the world changed dramatically during the 20th century, the familiar image of Lincoln remained one of the most recognizable symbols on American currency. The 1998 penny continued this long tradition. The design on the front side shows Lincoln facing toward the right side of the coin. The portrait captures a calm and thoughtful expression, representing the strength and determination that Lincoln showed during one of the most difficult periods in American history. His leadership during the Civil War and his dedication to preserving the unity of the country made him one of the most respected figures in American history. Around the portrait are several inscriptions that give meaning to the coin. At the top edge of the coin, the phrase, "In God We Trust," appears in bold letters. This motto has been used on United States coins for many years and reflects a long-standing national tradition. To the left side of Lincoln's portrait is the word liberty, symbolizing the idea of freedom that forms one of the central principles of the nation. On the right side of the portrait is the year 1998. This date tells collectors exactly when the coin was produced. Just beneath the date there may also be a small mint mark, depending on where the coin was struck. Coins produced at the Denver Mint carry a small letter D, while coins produced at the Philadelphia Mint typically have no mint mark at all. Special proof coins produced for collectors at the San Francisco Mint carry the letter Rarest. These mint marks help collectors identify where a coin was produced. Different mints sometimes produce coins with slight differences in quality, strike strength, or rarity. Because of this, collectors often try to obtain coins from each mint when building a complete set. Turning the coin over reveals the reverse design featuring the Lincoln Memorial Building in Washington, D.C. This design remained on the penny from 1959 until 2008, making it one of the longest-running coin designs in American history. The memorial itself was built to honor the life and achievements of Abraham Lincoln, and its appearance on the penny serves as a reminder of his legacy. The Lincoln Memorial is shown from the front, with a series of tall columns stretching across the building. Beneath the memorial appears the denomination 1 cent, clearly identifying the coin's value. Above the memorial is the Latin motto E pluribus unum, which means out of many, one. This phrase symbolizes the idea that many states and many people together form a single united nation. Above that motto appear the words United States of America, identifying the country that issued the coin. All of these elements together form a design that millions of people recognize instantly. One of the most fascinating details of the Lincoln Memorial design is the tiny statue of Lincoln seated inside the memorial. With the naked eye it may appear only as a small shape, but under magnification the statue becomes clearly visible. This means that Abraham Lincoln appears on both sides of the coin, his portrait on the front and his statue on the back. This tiny detail has amazed collectors for decades because it shows how carefully the design was created. Even on such a small coin, the engravers managed to include a remarkable level of detail. The 1998 penny also reflects the economic decisions that influenced coin production during the late 20th century. Earlier pennies had been made primarily from copper, but by the early 1980s the rising price of copper made that composition too expensive. As a result, the United States Mint changed the composition of the penny in 1982. From that point forward, pennies were made mostly from zinc with a thin copper coating on the outside. This change allowed the mint to continue producing pennies while keeping production costs manageable. The 1998 penny follows this same composition, with a zinc core covered by a layer of copper that gives the coin its familiar appearance. Because of this composition, the weight of the coin is approximately 2.5 grams. Its diameter is about 19 millimeters, and its edge is completely smooth without any ridges. These specifications remain consistent for most modern pennies. For collectors, these details are important because they help confirm the authenticity of the coin. If a penny has a significantly different weight or size, it might indicate a mint error or an unusual planchet. Another reason collectors continue to study the 1998 penny is the possibility of rare varieties or mint errors. As mentioned earlier, one of the most famous varieties associated with this year is the wide AM variety. This variation involves the spacing between the letters A and M and the word America on the reverse side of the coin. On most pennies the letters are very close together, almost touching. But on the wide AM variety there is a noticeable space between them. This difference occurred because a reverse die originally intended for proof coins was mistakenly used to strike some coins meant for circulation. This small detail has created a major point of interest among collectors. People who search through pennies often look carefully at the word America to see whether they might have discovered the wide AM variety. Finding one of these coins can be very exciting because it shows that even modern coins can have rare varieties. Although billions of pennies were produced in 1998, only a small number are believed to have the wide AM spacing. The search for these coins has become a popular activity among collectors. Many enthusiasts purchase rolls of pennies from banks and examine each coin carefully. They use magnifying glasses or digital microscopes to check for differences in lettering, spacing, and design features. While most coins they examine turn out to be ordinary, the possibility of discovering a rare coin keeps the excitement alive. Every roll of pennies becomes a small adventure, with the potential to uncover something special. Coin collecting often begins with simple curiosity. Someone might notice an unusual coin in their pocket and decide to learn more about it. As they begin researching, they discover that coins have histories, varieties, and stories connected to them. Soon they find themselves examining more coins, reading about minting processes, and learning how to identify different types of coins. What begins as a small interest can quickly grow into a lifelong hobby. The 1998 penny represents a perfect example of how even a modern coin can inspire curiosity and discovery. It reminds collectors that valuable stories can be hidden in everyday objects. Even today, decades after the coin was minted, millions of 1998 pennies remain in circulation. They continue to move from person to person, quietly serving their purpose in daily transactions. Some of those coins may already be sitting in jars of loose change or forgotten drawers in homes around the world. Others may still be passing through stores and markets, unnoticed among other coins for collectors. That possibility creates endless excitement. Because somewhere among those ordinary pennies may still be a rare variety, a beautiful uncirculated coin, or a unique mint error waiting for someone to discover it, and that is why the simple 1-cent coin continues to capture the imagination of collectors everywhere, proving that even the smallest coin can hold a surprisingly big. As the journey into the world of the 1998 1-cent coin continues, it becomes even clearer that coins are far more than just small pieces of metal used for buying and selling. Each coin represents a moment in time, a product of craftsmanship, history, and economic decisions that shaped the era in which it was created. The 1998 penny is part of a long story that stretches back more than a century, connecting modern coin collectors with generations of people who used the same design in their everyday lives. When someone examines a 1998 penny closely, they are not just looking at a coin, they are observing the result of a carefully designed manufacturing process. Every detail on the coin was created intentionally by artists, engravers, and engineers who worked together to transform a simple blank metal disc into a recognizable piece of national currency. Even though the coin is small, the process behind its creation involves complex machinery and careful planning. The journey of a penny begins long before the coin is actually struck. First, large rolls of metal are prepared in specialized facilities. For modern pennies like those produced in 1998, the metal is primarily zinc-coated with a thin layer of copper. This copper coating gives the penny its bright reddish color while keeping production costs low. Once the metal sheets are prepared, machines punch out circular blanks called planchets. Each planchet must be precisely the correct size and weight before it can move to the next stage of production. After the planchets are cut, they are cleaned and polished so that the surface is smooth and ready to receive the design. This cleaning process removes any oils or residues that might interfere with the coin's appearance. Once the planchets are prepared, they are transported to the minting presses where the actual coin designs will be stamped into the metal. Inside the coin press, the planchet is placed between two dies that contain the designs for the front and back of the coin. When the press activates, the dies strike the planchet with tremendous force. In a split second, the blank disc is transformed into a fully formed coin carrying the portrait of Abraham Lincoln on one side and the Lincoln Memorial on the other. The speed of this process is remarkable. Modern coin presses can produce dozens of coins every second. During large production runs, billions of pennies may be produced within a single year. The year 1998 was one of those years when massive numbers of pennies were minted to meet the demands of everyday commerce. Because of such high production numbers, most 1998 pennies remain common in circulation today. However, the large number of coins also means that small variations can occur. When millions or billions of coins are produced, even a tiny change in the minting process can create a variety that collectors later discover. Collectors are especially interested in these small differences because they help tell the story of how the coins were made. Sometimes a die used in the minting process develops a small crack or chip after striking thousands of coins. When that happens, the coin struck afterward may show unusual marks caused by the damaged die. These marks might appear as thin raised lines across the surface of the coin or small lumps near the letters. To an untrained eye, these features might seem like defects, but collectors recognize them as clues about the life of the minting equipment. Another type of variation that collectors search for involves doubled designs. This happens when the image on the die itself is slightly doubled during its creation. When such a die strikes a coin, the letters or numbers may appear slightly duplicated. This effect is known as a doubled die, and it is one of the most famous types of coin varieties. Although the 1998 penny is not widely known for major doubled die varieties, collectors still examine the coins carefully because new discoveries sometimes appear many years after a coin was first minted. The history of coin collecting shows that some varieties remain unnoticed for decades before someone finally recognizes them. One of the best-known varieties for the 1998 penny remains the white AM reverse. This subtle design difference occurs in the word America on the reverse side of the coin. On standard pennies, the letters A and M are positioned very close together, nearly touching each other. On the white AM variety, however, there is a noticeable gap between these two letters. This difference happened because a reverse die intended for proof coins was accidentally used on some coins meant for general circulation. Proof coins are specially made for collectors using highly polished dies and carefully prepared planchets. When a proof die was used in regular production, it created a small number of circulation coins with the white AM spacing. Because this variety was not produced intentionally, it remains relatively scarce compared with normal pennies from that year. As a result, collectors search for this variety whenever they examine coins from 1998. The search itself has become a hobby within the hobby. Many collectors spend hours looking through rolls of pennies obtained from banks. They pour the coins onto a table and inspect them one by one, carefully examining the reverse design with a magnifying glass. This process may seem repetitive, but collectors enjoy the sense of anticipation that comes with every coin they examine. Each penny holds the possibility of revealing something unusual. Even if most coins turn out to be ordinary, the excitement of the search makes the effort worthwhile. Another factor that collectors pay attention to is the condition of the coin. Over time, coins that circulate through everyday use develop scratches, dents, and wear. The high points of the design, such as Lincoln's hair and the details of the memorial, gradually become smoother as the coin passes from hand to hand, but occasionally a coin escapes heavy circulation and remains in excellent condition. Perhaps it was saved in a coin jar shortly after it was minted or stored in a collection album. When collectors find a 1998 penny that still shows bright copper color and sharp design details, they recognize it as a high-quality example. Such coins are often described as uncirculated or mint state. These coins still retain their original mint luster, a special reflective quality created when the coin was first struck. When the coin is tilted under light, the surface reflects light in a rotating pattern sometimes called a cartwheel effect. This beautiful appearance is one reason collectors enjoy preserving coins in protective holders. By storing coins carefully, they can prevent damage and maintain the coin's original shine for many years. Beyond the technical details of minting and collecting, the 1998 penny also holds cultural significance. The portrait of Abraham Lincoln reminds people of the historical legacy that influenced the creation of the coin. Lincoln's leadership during one of the most challenging periods in American history made him an enduring symbol of unity and determination. Every time someone holds a penny with Lincoln's image, they are holding a small tribute to that legacy. Even though the coin may seem insignificant in terms of monetary value, it carries historical meaning that extends far beyond its 1-cent denomination. Coins like the 1998 penny also remind collectors that valuable discoveries can sometimes be hidden in ordinary places. A rare variety might be sitting unnoticed in a jar of loose change, inside an old piggy bank, or among coins stored in a drawer for decades. Stories of such discoveries often inspire new collectors to begin checking their own coins. What starts as a simple curiosity can quickly become a fascinating hobby filled with research, exploration, and excitement. And even today, with millions of 1998 pennies still circulating in the world, the possibility remains that another unusual example may still be waiting to be discovered by someone who takes the time to look closely at the tiny details on a simple 1-cent coin. As the story of the 1998 1-cent coin reaches its final chapter, it becomes clear that a coin which many people consider almost worthless can actually carry an incredible story. A penny may only represent 1 cent in everyday transactions, but when collectors, historians, and enthusiasts study it closely, the coin becomes much more than just spare change. It becomes a symbol of craftsmanship, history, curiosity, and the endless possibility that something valuable might be hiding in plain sight. The 1998 penny began its life inside one of the United States Mint facilities, where powerful machines transformed blank metal discs into coins that would soon travel across the country. Within seconds of being struck, the coin carried a complete design that had been carefully created by artists and engravers many years earlier. That design included the portrait of Abraham Lincoln on the front side and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse. These two images together form one of the most recognizable coin designs in the world. From the moment it was minted, the 1998 penny started its journey through everyday life. Some of these coins went directly into bank vaults, while others were packaged into rolls and shipped to businesses across the country. Soon they began circulating in stores, restaurants, markets, and vending machines. A single penny might pass through hundreds or even thousands of hands over the years. Every transaction added another chapter to the coin story. It might have been used to pay for a small purchase, dropped into a donation box, or saved by a child learning the value of money. Some pennies were forgotten in drawers or jars, while others remained in circulation for decades. As time passed, the bright copper color of many coins slowly changed. Exposure to air, moisture, and handling caused the copper surface to darken. What was once a bright red coin gradually turned into a deeper brown shade. These natural changes are part of the aging process that all coins experience, yet even as the coin aged, the design remained clearly visible. The portrait of Abraham Lincoln continued to look out across the surface of the coin with the same calm expression it had the day it was struck. The inscriptions around the portrait remained legible, reminding people of the ideals and history connected to the coin. On the reverse side, the Lincoln Memorial continued to stand proudly in miniature form. The tiny columns, the steps leading up to the building, and even the small statue of Lincoln inside the memorial remained part of the design. It is remarkable that so much detail could be placed onto such a small coin. Collectors who study coins like the 1998 penny often develop a deep appreciation for these tiny details. What once seemed like a simple coin suddenly becomes a piece of miniature art. The careful engraving, the balanced layout of the inscriptions, and the precision of the minting process all come together to create something remarkable. For many collectors, the excitement begins with the possibility of discovering something rare. Although billions of pennies were minted in 1998, small variations in the production process created a few coins that are different from the rest. These differences might involve the spacing of letters, tiny marks caused by minting equipment, or unusual striking errors. One of the most talked about varieties of the 1998 penny is the wide AM variety. This variation involves the spacing between the letters A and M and the word America on the reverse side of the coin. While most coins show the letters very close together, the wide AM variety displays a noticeable gap between them. This small detail may seem unimportant to someone unfamiliar with coin collecting, but to collectors it represents a rare and fascinating variety. It reminds them that even modern coins can contain surprises waiting to be discovered. Because of this possibility, collectors often search through large numbers of pennies. Some people check every coin they receive in change. Others obtain rolls of pennies from banks and examine them carefully under magnification. This activity requires patience, but the thrill of discovery keeps collectors motivated. Imagine the moment when a collector finally notices something unusual on a coin they are examining. Perhaps the spacing between the letters looks different, or a strange mark appears on the surface. The collector studies the coin more closely, comparing it with known varieties and researching its characteristics. That moment of realization can be incredibly exciting. What once seemed like an ordinary penny suddenly becomes a coin with a unique story. Even if the coin is not worth a fortune, the discovery itself brings a sense of achievement. Stories about rare coins often spread quickly within the collecting community. Enthusiasts share their discoveries online, at coin shows, and in collector clubs. These conversations help spread knowledge and inspire others to continue searching through their own coins. Sometimes these discoveries lead to coins being sold at auctions or through collectors' markets. Depending on the rarity, condition, and demand for a particular variety, the value of a coin can increase significantly. While most 1998 pennies remain worth only their face value, certain varieties or exceptional examples can attract strong interest among collectors. The idea that a simple penny could someday be worth a surprising amount of money captures the imagination of many people. It encourages them to look more carefully at the coins they already have. A coin that once seemed unimportant suddenly becomes something worth studying. But beyond the possibility of financial value, coin collecting offers something even more meaningful. It provides a connection to history. Every coin reflects the time in which it was created, the technology used to produce it, and the people who handled it during its journey. The 1998 penny represents the continuation of a tradition that began in 1909 when the Lincoln cent was first introduced. For more than a century, the image of Abraham Lincoln has appeared on the penny, making it one of the longest-running coin designs in the world. This long history means that the penny has been present during many important events and changes. Generations of people have used the same coin design while living through different eras of history. Each coin becomes a silent witness to the passage of time. Even today, decades after it was minted, the 1998 penny continues to circulate in everyday life. Some coins remain in excellent condition, while others show the wear of many years in circulation. Yet each one still carries the same design and the same historical connection. For collectors and curious observers, the message is simple but powerful. Never underestimate the value of small things. Sometimes the most ordinary objects hold the most fascinating stories. A single penny may seem insignificant, but when you look closely, it reveals a world of history, craftsmanship, and discovery. Hidden among billions of coins could be a rare variety, a unique mint error, or a beautifully preserved example waiting for someone to notice. So the next time you see a penny, take a moment to examine it carefully. Look at the date, the letters, the design, and the tiny details that make each coin unique. Because somewhere out there, among the countless coins in circulation, a small 1-cent piece like the 1998 penny might be carrying a story far greater than its tiny value. And that is the true magic of coin collecting, the idea that treasure can sometimes be hiding in the smallest and most unexpected places, waiting patiently for someone curious enough to discover it.